Good afternoon, Photo Play Paper Peeps. Today we're going to be making a small little folio using Photo Play's Those Summer Days by Tracy Smith. And it is so stinking cute. If you were born in the 1970s or 1980s, you're totally going to love this retro reminiscent paper collection. I actually had a swimsuit that was exactly this pattern. It is so adorable. So let's go ahead and let me show you what we are going to make. Now this particular little folio, I used the collection by Photoplay called Let's Go, and that is by Mary Kogellenberg, and it is so stinking cute. It's travel themed, vacation themed. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I just love this cute little bear here on the front, but let's go ahead and go with the measurements first. The measurements are going to be 6.5 by 4.5. And then our spine is 1 inch, okay? And this opens up into 4 little sections. So we're going to start off with the first page, which is going to be your vertical waterfall that will hold 4x4 photos, and this is magnetic. Our second little page is going to be this cute little ephemera pocket page where you could hold your little ephemera cards, or if you have any special ticket stubs or anything from wherever you visited, you might want to put them in there. And I just love this cute little footprint right there. Then on this one, this is going to be our horizontal waterfall. This is magnetic right here. We just open up this little belt buckle and you're going to have your little photo spots right here where you can use your like small snap photos, okay? Then on this next one, you're going to have a little pocket right here. This, I actually used one of the Lawn Fawn slider dies to make this little pocket. But I'm going to show you with this album a different way to do that. Okay? So I just thought this was really cute, and I just popped up some of the stickers, and I fussy cut some of the paper collection. Okay? On this page, this is going to mimic your 4x4 waterfall right here, except that instead of magnets, I used a ribbon to hold that together. And then as well, we have another waterfall, and this one should be 4 inches, and I believe it is 5.5, yes. And so this will hold several little photos here and as well as down here. But the cute little thing is that I used I fussy cut some of the paper collection and created a little pocket right there. So I thought that was kind of cute. And then of course we go to our back. So let's go ahead and get started. And you're going to need 2 sheets of linen cardstock or any heavyweight cardstock that's 80 pounds or more. Okay. You're going to need them at 10.5 by 6.5, and this is going to be for our cover pages, okay? And don't worry, it's going to be sturdy once you get your papers all together here. But let's go ahead and start off. Okay, so you're going to score on the 10.5-inch side at 4.5, and I like to just double do my score. So just score along again, 5 inches. And then 9.5. You're going to do the same exact thing on your second sheet. Again, at the 10.5-inch side, you're going to score it at 4.5, 5, and then 9.5. Okay. I'm going to get out my little mat here, and you're going to need your adhesive at this point. I'm going to marry these two together. Okay. And I'm going to flip mine over and do it backwards way. I don't know why. I just feel like that. So where I have my little, I think this is 1 inch, your little 1 inch score line, I'm going to marry these together. And I'm going to stack them right on top of each other. Let me grab my glue, and the glue that I'm using is Art Glitter Glue Designer Dry Clear Adhesive. Then I'm going to just wipe off the excess glue, and I'm going to burnish this in really nice and good. Okay. Then at this point, I can go ahead and wipe off any excess on the other side. So now I can go ahead and start folding on all my score lines. Make sure that everything is even before I continue on. And it's looking good. Always burnish them in. Again, I'm going to keep moving along here. And when I'm doing this, I want to make sure that they're lined up perfectly, and they are. And I'm going to burnish it in again. And I'm going to turn it around and do the same on this side. Okay, so now it's going to look something like this, okay? Now, if you feel that this is too much in this little center here, like it's touching too much, you can take off a 1/16 of an inch, and on your Fiskars cutter, this little clear to this white line right there is a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So it's just a tiny little sliver, okay? Now at this point, you're going to need your covers for your matting papers, which is going to be your pattern paper. You're going to need 8 sheets at 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. So at this point, you might want to decide which papers are going to be your front cover, your back cover, your spine, and then you have these little spines as well, and then in here. So what I want you to do is you can go ahead and attach your spine and then these two. This one is going to be 7/8 of an inch by 6 1/2. So I will start cutting mine, and then we'll be right back. One thing you might want to consider is your closure. And for me, what I'm going to be using is some seam binding ribbon that I kind of sprayed in popsicle colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this. So this is 6 1/2 inches long. So I'm going to mark it at 3 1/2. Okay. And that is going to be my center, just right approximately there. And I'm going to get my adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and glue this on here. Okay. And then for my opposite side, again, I'm going to do the same thing at 3 1/2. And attach my closure. Now on my other album, I didn't use any closure and it worked just fine, but that is completely up to you on what you want to do. Also, if you want to ink your edges a particular color, you might want to do that now. Okay, so for my album, I've already decided that I want this to be my front cover and my back cover. So I had those cut and I gave you that measurement already. I also gave you the measurement for the spine at 7/8 inches by 6 3/8. And this is the only one that I didn't give to you. This is going to be your mini spines is what I call them. So your inside, your outside cover mini spine and your inside, you're going to need 4 of those. And that measurement is 3/8 inches by 6 3/8. Okay, and sorry for my little colored fingers, but I was spraying my little ribbons here. So let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to ink our edges. And then I'll be right back. So I have all my edges inked and I decided to use Ranger's Ink Worn Lipstick. And I'm going to go ahead and start attaching. So I'm going to start off with the front cover. So for me, I'm just going to use my art glitter glue, but you can use any adhesive that you want. Okay, so now I basically have the front, back, and spine of my book. So to kind of make this tutorial go a little bit easier for you all, oh my goodness, I accidentally got a little bit here. Oh, one more thing, and I forgot to add my ink here. You can go ahead and do the inside spine. And that is going to be your piece that is 7/8 inches by 3 1/8. Forgive the glue all over my fingers, but I am a messy crafter. Okay. And you can do the same with these as well. Okay, so I will be back in just a minute after I finish covering all these, but let me explain something really first. So when I start telling you about the different pages, this will be listed as front cover, spine, back cover. Then once you open up, this will begin with page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lastly 6. Okay, so I hope that helps, and we'll get going. Okay, for page 1 and for page 4, these are going to be the same measurements on everything. Okay, so we're going to start off with, don't forget that we had taken off, if you didn't, then all of these measurements will be the same. But you will need 4 pieces of pattern cardstock that are going to be, hold on, let me get out my new one. It should be 4 1/4. Make sure that's right. Yes, 4 1/4 by 6 3/8. Okay. So for this one, you can go ahead and glue that one on to your page 1. And then don't forget that you're going to burnish it in. Get rid of that excess glue. with your bone folder and your little wipey. Okay, so now at this point, you're going to go ahead and need a plain piece of pattern cardstock that's going to be 4 inches by 6 1/8. And this is going to be the base for your waterfall, okay? And this is how I keep mine aligned straight, okay? You're also going to need, put that to the side for a second, you're going to need 6 at 4 inches by 4 1/2, and then scored at a 1/2 inch on the 4 1/2 inch side. So you should have 6 of those, and I went ahead and rounded my edges. 2, 3, 4. Hold on. Yes, this is 6. Okay. And then you're going to need, for your mats, you're going to need 12 at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And what I chose to do was use 6 of the pattern cardstock and then 6 of solid colored cardstock. And that's so that I can just go ahead and put a photo on there or just journal, okay? So let me go ahead and start off with my waterfall. At this point, you're going to need to decide whether you want to do a belt, a ribbon, or magnets. And for this particular one, I'm going to do magnets. So with my first one, I'm going to go ahead and fold this over on a score line. And I'm actually going to do that with all of them. But I'm going to line it up at the top. And this is how I keep mine straight. Okay, so it's kind of like a little guide piece. Okay, and with that one, I can go ahead and keep following that guide. Oops, I used a little too much glue there. And just keep on going. And for me, I don't actually cover up except for just a tiny bit of my line right here. What I like to use is pattern cardstock in between these, just to keep it pretty. And I will just continue on until I am down to the end, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've already attached my magnets, and I have really strong ones. So basically, every other sheet I added a magnet, and then I used flat washers to for the other part of the magnet. Instead of using 4 magnets, I used 2 magnets and 2 washers. But anyway, now at this point, you can go ahead and center this. What I like to do is center this first, take a look at where I want to put it, and then I go ahead and glue it down. And then you'll burnish it in with your bone folder and wipe away any excess glue. And I like to put a lot of glue where my washer or magnet is, just to make sure that it really adheres. Okay, so I'm just going to center that. And now I'm going to burnish it in, and I just kind of lift some of these layers up. Keep going. Okay, and as you can see, I have a little bit of glue creeping out down here. Burnish this in really well. Okay, so now I'm going to use And what I did with mine, I used 6 pattern cardstock at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, and then I used my small little rounded edger here, corner punch, and then I did should be 7 here. 2, or no, maybe this is 7. I'm sorry. This 6. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need 7. 1, 2. Anyway, well, I'm gonna start gluing these on here, okay? And then I'll be back at the end and we will move down to the next page. I just want to show you how it looks when I finish with the page, so that's, you'll know what yours is supposed to look like. Anyway, all right, we'll be back. One thing I want to mention, you're going to need 12 strips of patterned paper. That's going to cover up this little space right here. You could use washi tape if you want to, although washi tape is a little fussy in high humidity areas. So if you are selling these, you may want to consider that. But anyway, you're going to need 12 of these. So you're going to need one for page 1 and then another set for page 4, okay? They're going to be 3/8 inch by 3 7/8. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and cut all mine and attach mine. And another thing too that I want to mention is for your last page, before you attach this 7th piece down, what I want you to do is go ahead and attach this first. So I'll show you right now. Okay, so now at this point you can go ahead and continue the same thing on page 4, all the way up to doing your magnets, and unless you want to do ribbon. And I think I'm going to do ribbon on this next one. So basically what I want you to do is create this base piece right here that has your solid pattern cardstock. Go ahead and have it looking just like this. And then I'll show you how I add my ribbon on. And then we'll be back. I want to show you real quick that I decided to go ahead and add some ribbon. Even though I have the magnets, I just really like this ribbon. I think that the purple, the darker purple against the lighter purple, and with some of this pink and all of that in the background, I think it worked really well. And so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. But I'll just show you what I did. I just used my glue. I used a little bit of washi tape and then attached it on the back. So this is page 2. Okay, so I think it's going to be really cute. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with number 4. But what I'm going to have to do for number 4 is, and this time I'm not going to use any magnets at all. I'm just going to go ahead and keep with the ribbon because I really like how the ribbon is looking. But I'm going to go ahead and attach that to the back here and then glue it down. And of course I've got to put my base color here. But once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go with the same measurements that I have. You're going to need 7 at 3 7/8, and then of course 6 of these at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, and then we'll be back. So page 4 was basically very easy. I just mimicked page 1, except that my base, which is the purple, or sorry, the pink cardstock, I went ahead and put my ribbons behind that. So that's about the only difference there. So we're going to start on page 2, and it's going to be, let's see, 3, 4, 5, page 6 as well. We're going to do 2 pocket pages, okay? Again, your inside paper is going to be 4 1/4 by 6 3/8. Okay. And then for our solid colored cardstock, I'm using the purple again. I'm loving that. That is going to be 5 1/4, and on the 5 1/4 inch side, you're going to score it a 1/2 inch. and 4 3/4. You're going to turn it counterclockwise one time, and now it's going to be 4 inches, and then you'll score at a 1/2 inch. So again, 4 by 5 1/4. On the 5 1/4 inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch, 4 3/4. Turn counterclockwise one time and score at a 1/2 inch. So you're going to grab your scissors out of here. What I like to do is, I don't like my little wings showing, so I'm just going to do a little trim there and there. And I'm just going to go right across here where the two score lines meet. Okay? And get rid of those. And then I'm going to fold on my score lines. Make sure you burnish them in so that they remain nice and flat. Now, this should slide in here perfectly, okay? You might need to trim off just a little sliver if you feel like you need to, which I'm going to just take off a super skinny sliver here, like barely any of it. And I'm going to re-ink that edge. There we go. I mean, that's not even a 1/16 of an inch. I just want it to fit in there real nicely. And I have them to, like the popsicles, make sure they are on the right side up. Now, if you want to do a pattern at the top of your page, go ahead and cut that now. I'm going to use, this is a EK Success punch. I call it the doily punch. I don't know if it is a doily or not, but that's what I call it. I'm just going to line these up and punch. There, we get right to the edge. Okay, perfect. So move those out of the way. And again, make sure my popsicle side is upside up, so you have to be very careful with your pattern paper. Just going to line it up just above the score line a bit. You grab my glue or whatever adhesive you want to use. So I got to keep it very still. What I like to do is keep mine right up to the edge. That way it won't move. And adhere. You could put this pocket on top, but I kind of like my wings being underneath. I think it gives a little more extra security. And just burnish that in. I was making a wreath yesterday and I can see all my little crumbs everywhere from my wreath. Okay, so, and then now you can just glue this right on top. And, you know, like I said, I like to use extra glue because I don't want to have any lifting. And you can always just wipe away that excess glue. So it's not a big deal. But I know that it'll be down nice and secure. Just going to center that. Yep, looks good. Okay. Then again, burnish it in, getting out any air bubbles. Now you have a nice little cute pocket. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and put a pattern on top. And I'm going to look at my scrap paper and see what I have that might possibly fit. That's not wide enough. Oh, this is cute. Okay, so my pocket will be, okay, so for your pattern paper that's going to go on top of your pocket page, it's going to be 4 1/8 by 3 1/4. So we're just going to go ahead and add that on. Oops. Okay, and then again, burnish it in and wipe off any excess glue. Okay, so now we have our pocket page done. Go ahead and repeat these same steps for page 6, but I'm going to go ahead and move on to page 3. Okay, I'll do my page 6 at the end just so that we can keep along with the tutorial. So we're going to do our horizontal waterfall. Now you should have some scraps of paper that have this on it, okay? Let me just move this out of the way real quick because we're going to need to work with these real quick. Okay, so this measurement is 4 1/2. You'll need 4 of these. 4 at 4 1/2 by 3 inches. And then on the 4 1/2 inch side, you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. Okay, so you'll need 4 of those, and it should pretty much already, you should have some paper cut that size when we were, you know, doing this. So that always is handy. Don't have to cut any more. Okay. Then we're going to need another solid piece of cardstock. That's going to be your little belt that's going to go over this, okay? Where you'll need 2 magnets. So I will be right back. I'm going to get those measurements for you. But in the meantime, while I'm doing that, you can literally go ahead and start doing this portion of the waterfall. No, actually don't. I'll be right back. Okay, so for page 3, let's start off with the solid cardstock, okay? You're going to need 4 pieces at 4 1/2 by 3 inches. On the 4 1/2 inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. So 4 of those. Then you're going to need 1 at 6 inches by 1 1/2. And then on the 6 inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. Your second one is going to be 3 1/2 inches by 1 1/2, and you're going to score at a 1/2 inch on the 3 1/2 inch side. Okay. Now for your pattern cardstock, you're going to need 8 pieces at 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So 8 pieces at 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. And I'm going to go ahead and round those edges and ink my edges. Oops, there's more. And then you're going to need 2 pieces. This is for your belt at 1 3/8 by, I'm sorry, you're going to need 2 of these. 2 at 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. So you have 2 of those. And then you're going to need 2 at 1 3/8 by 2 7/8. And then we're going to go ahead and add our magnet right now before I forget. So let me grab that out of here. And a way to save on your magnets, you can use washers as well for the other side of your magnet. I don't know what I did with mine, but let's go ahead and get that on there first. So on my bottom half, I'm going to, this is actually the top, excuse me. I'm going to add my magnet probably about an inch up from the bottom and then in the center. And now I can go ahead and I like to add a little bit of tape. Which that's not working today, so forget that. And then I'm going to add in my inside pattern paper. Let me ink that up real quick. Okay. I can go ahead and add my glue. Make sure you add enough on the top there. And then I'm just going to center this in here. Grab my wipey for any excess glue and gently press on this, because now that I don't have the tape there, I want to make sure my magnet doesn't move all over the place. And you can burnish it in and flatten that out. And then we can go ahead and apply the top piece as well. Same thing. Okay, I just wanted to check my measurements real quick, but I was right in my mind. I just didn't trust myself. 2 1/4 is going to be your center. So I'm just going to use a little pencil and make a little mark. So at this point, I can go ahead and attach this first part. And I'm literally going to center it in there. I'm going to bring it all the way to the top and burnish that in, okay? So at this point, even though I haven't added my paper to my bottom piece, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to line it up at 2 1/4, or you could just do it this way, which is much easier. Just fold your paper and let me make sure it's not crooked. And I'm just going to line that up. Okay. Sorry, let me get my light going on there. And the reason why I'm doing this first is because I don't know where my magnet is going to hit. So without that knowledge, I may make an error. So I'm going to push this down to the edge. And again, do the same thing. Burnish it in. Wipe away any excess glue because you don't want it to be glued shut. So now I can grab my magnet. And this is kind of the trick I do. I let my magnet snap on there. I add just a tad bit of glue so I can see, fold it over, line it up, and press down. And then now I know exactly where my magnet needs to be. And at this point, I can go ahead and glue on my other pieces. But let me just go ahead and ink those edges real quick. And of course, if you are using a pattern that you need to worry about your direction, you will want to think about that before you glue this down, because it could be upside down. Oops. Let me burnish that in. Make sure that glue adheres. And then now I can do my inside piece, same thing. Ink my edges real quick. Okay, so now at this point we can go ahead and start attaching these pages, and mine are not going to have magnets, so because I have this with the magnets. So I'm just going to kind of center this just right, move it up a little bit, and then go ahead and add my glue. Or you can paper them first and then add them. That is completely up to you. I'm just centering this so it looks like it's got about the same width from here and here on this side. Okay. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to move this a little bit over. I apologize. I lied. I'm going to move this to the very edge. Okay. Oops. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't wipe away your glue. And then I'm going to line this one up. Before I add my glue, I'm going to line this up. Just make sure it looks right. Okay. Yep, that looks good. You just don't want it to go over the edge, okay? Now, a little trick here. You can, if you want to paper this, it's a little too skinny for me, so I'm not going to. But you could add some paper there to cover up the purple. So I would add that first, which would be a little under a ½ inch, so 3/8 of an inch. I'll give you that measurement in just a minute, because I'm going to do mine on my inside piece instead. Okay, now that looks super cute. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat those same steps with the bottom, and then I'll be back in a second. And I will go ahead and attach these as well. Then I'll come back with this measurement right here. Okay, guys? Okay, so for my two little strips that are going to go on the inside here, they're 3/8, and I actually had some scraps left over, so that worked. 3/8 by 2 7/8, okay? So we'll go ahead and attach that on in here. Okay. So now when you're done, it should look something like that. So cute. Okay, so we're going to be starting on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I will be right back. Okay, guys, we're almost to the very end. We are on page 5, and this is going to be our long vertical waterfall. So, of course, I already gave you the measurement for this, but in case I didn't, it is 4 1/4 by 6 3/8, and that is for your base page. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach some ribbon on the back piece, okay? Or if you want to do magnets, you wouldn't have to do this. You would just go by your normal business of attaching, whoops, your magnets. So let me get my glue going, and then I'm going to give you your middle. So it should be, hold on. My center is going to be at 2 1/8, so I'm going to go ahead and make a mark with my pencil. They're not even going to see that because this is on the back, so I'm just going to do it at the top and the bottom. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and apply my ribbon like I did on my other one. Just get that glued in there real good. Okay, so at this point I can go ahead and attach this to my page. So I'm going to go ahead and Get my glue on there really good. And attach it to page 5. I'm just going to center that up. And burnish it in. Okay, so at this point we can start adding our waterfalls. And we basically just have 2, so that makes it super simple. You're going to have 2 sheets of solid colored cardstock. That is going to be 4 inches by 5 3/4, and then on the 5 3/4 inch side you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. I went ahead and did that. Fold on the score line, burnish it in, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this on here. So I'm going to go pretty close to the top, I think. Let me just see how much space I've got here. Yeah, I might actually be able to go down about 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to do that. Hopefully I don't mess this up. And I'm just going to center it. And I'm not even pushing it down yet because I want to make sure that this lines up straight and it looks good enough. So I'm going to burnish that one in. And then I'm going to add the next piece. Just underneath that one. Make sure it's lined up before you press it down and it looks great. So I'm going to do that. Burnish it in and wipe away any excess glue. It's straight. As you can see right here, I'm off a little bit. That's okay because I have my strips of pattern paper, which I'm going to go ahead and attach those now. This is going to be at 3/8 of an inch, which is just under the 1/2, by 3 3/4, okay? Actually, this looks a little shorter than 3 3/4. I must have goofed up. All right, hold on. Let me get another one. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry I gave you the wrong measurement on that. The 3/8 inch is correct, but it's going to be 3 7/8, okay? So we're going to go ahead and attach those right now. And even though I have that little gap, I'm actually going to put this right over that. So that's where I was saying it wouldn't really matter about that. I just want my waterfall to lie, you know, straight across with both looking down like this. So that's why I'm not really worried about it. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach my second strip. I'm just going to line that right up at the bottom. Okay, burnish that in. Okay, now I can go ahead and place my last 4 pieces. Oops. That one's not one of them. Okay, so you're going to need 4 pieces of paper. It should be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I went ahead and already cut mine. Let me go ahead and ink it real quick. Okay, So for my top piece, instead of the cherries, I'm going to use this summertime design, which I have not used on a top waterfall along this way. I may have used it on, nope, I didn't. So this will be my first one there. So I'm just going to go quiet and attach these. And then at the very end, you can go ahead and decorate it however you want.